You're looking for a piano that feels solid enough to sit at every day, that sounds good enough to impress a small audience, and that won't eat up your budget the way a full-size acoustic ever does. You don't want a list of gimmicks you'll never use. You want something you can actually live with, reliable, easy to set up, and worth every penny. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation most buyers feel comes from the fear of ending up with a keyboard that looks great on paper but feels cheap under your fingers, or that sounds great in a showroom but disappears in a living room. When you step into the digital concert piano category, the first thing you notice is how many models try to copy the feel of an acoustic with weighted keys, but they often cut corners on the action or on the sound engine. What matters in real life is how the instrument reacts when you play a soft passage, how it projects when you're practicing with the lid down, and whether you can plug it into the tools you already own, like a laptop for lessons or a speaker for a home recital. The Kawai CA501 is positioned right at that intersection. It promises a grade-weighted hammer action, wooden keys, and built-in speakers, all wrapped in a sleek satin black finish that won't clash with modern decor. If you're a serious hobbyist who spends an hour or two at the keyboard each evening, or a small studio owner who needs a reliable instrument for client recordings without the maintenance headaches of a grand, this is the kind of machine that will feel natural. The wooden keys give a subtle resistance that mimics the slight give of a real piano, which means you can practice dynamics without constantly adjusting your touch. Because the action is grade-weighted, the lower notes feel a little heavier than the upper ones, just like an acoustic, helping you develop proper technique. The built-in speakers are tuned for a balanced stereo output, so you can play in a bedroom and still hear enough body to make chord progressions feel satisfying, without immediately reaching for external amplification. On the other hand, if you're looking for a travel-friendly 61-key keyboard to toss in a gig bag, or you're on a shoestring budget that can't stretch beyond a basic entry-level digital piano, the CA501 will feel overkill. It's an 88-key instrument with a weight and footprint that requires a sturdy stand or a dedicated space, so apartments with limited floor space might struggle. Players who need an extensive library of instrument voices, orchestral strings, synth pads, and so on, may also find the 24 built-in effects a little limiting compared with some workstation keyboards that boast hundreds of presets. And if you were hoping for full MIDI over Bluetooth, the CA501 only offers standard audio streaming, so you'll still need a USB or traditional MIDI cable for that kind of integration. A typical day with the CA501 might look like this. You arrive home after work, plug your headphones into the headphone jack, and engage the silent mode. The wooden keys still give you that tactile response, but the room stays quiet, perfect for late-night practice without disturbing a roommate. Later, you decide to showcase a new piece for a small family gathering. You flip the built-in speakers on, select the grand piano sample, and the sound fills the dining room enough that the audience can hear the nuance of your phrasing. Because the piano includes Bluetooth, you can stream your favorite backing track from your phone without fiddling with cables, letting you jam along to a recording of a pop song while keeping the focus on the piano's tone. The strengths of the CA501 are rooted in its practicality. The grade-weighted wooden keys give a realistic feel that most beginners notice immediately. You won't have to relearn finger strength when you transition to an acoustic later. The speakers, while not meant to replace a professional PA, are surprisingly clear and can handle moderate dynamic ranges without distortion. For everyday use, the biggest question is not just whether Kawai CA501 digital concert piano, Satin Black has impressive specs, but whether those specs match the way you actually plan to use it. In the default_tech category, buyers should compare the headline features against their daily routine, setup space, compatibility needs, and how often they will use the product after the first week.